The sound of footsteps echoed through the grand hall of the Kar-El Empire's royal palace. Lieutenant Jack Rivers, a human officer from the Earth Alliance, walked nervously across the shimmering floor made of silver crystal. His heart beat faster with every step. The air was heavy with the scent of strange flowers, and the walls glowed softly with blue light that seemed alive. Alien guards stood still like statues on both sides of the hall, their golden eyes fixed on him. He was the only human here, a stranger among giants. Jack had been sent as a representative of Earth. The Kar-El were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They were tall, elegant, and feared by most. Humans had met them only a few years ago after the long and bloody Orion War. Now, both sides were trying to build peace, and Jack was chosen for a cultural exchange, a symbol of trust. But standing here in the heart of their empire, he didn't feel like a symbol. He felt small, lost, and very, very human. The grand doors at the end of the hall opened silently. A faint golden light spilled into the chamber, and every guard bowed low. Jack looked up and saw her. The princess of the Kar-El Empire stepped into the hall, her movements graceful like flowing water. Her name was Alethra. Her skin shimmered with a soft silver glow, and instead of hair, long translucent tendrils floated around her head, moving gently as if touched by an invisible wind. Her large black eyes, deep like the void of space, fixed on him. Her face was calm, but there was something in her gaze that spoke of loneliness, a quiet sadness that no crown could hide. Jack quickly bowed, trying to remember the Kar-El greeting protocol he had practiced for weeks. "It's an honor to meet you, Princess Alethra," he said, his voice steady though his hands trembled slightly. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft and musical, yet carried power. "Welcome, human of Earth, you may rise." Jack looked up. For a moment he forgot how to speak. The princess was different, beautiful in a way he couldn't quite describe. Not like a human woman, but like a dream shaped from starlight and sorrow. Her people saw beauty through symmetry, light, and sound. To them, humans were considered rough, dull, even ugly. But when Jack looked at her, he didn't see strangeness. He saw mystery and pain. "You have come far," she said. "Few humans have walked within our walls." "Yes, Your Highness," he replied. "I'm honored to be the first to serve as Earth's representative." "Not the first," she said quietly, a shadow passing through her eyes. "The first who returned?" Perhaps. Jack didn't know what she meant, but her tone made his chest tighten. Before he could ask, she motioned for him to walk beside her. The guards opened the next door, and the two of them entered a large balcony overlooking the endless clouds of their planet below. The view was breathtaking. The sky glowed with two suns, one pale white and one golden, painting the clouds in shades of pink and violet. Strange flying creatures soared in the distance. For a long moment neither spoke. Jack simply stared, amazed. "Your world is beautiful," he said finally. Alethra gave a small smile. "We think so, yet it feels empty sometimes." Her eyes flickered toward him. "Tell me, human, is Earth truly blue, like the old stories say?" Jack nodded with a faint smile. "Yes, blue oceans, green forests, white clouds. It's messy, loud, and full of life." Her tendrils swayed slowly. "It sounds alive. Our world is quiet now. Our people have forgotten how to sing." Her words carried a sadness that pierced his heart. He could feel the loneliness behind her calm mask. She turned away from the view and looked at him again. "You will stay here for some time, Lieutenant. My council believes your presence may help our people understand yours better. I hope you will not find us unpleasant." Jack smiled gently. "Not at all, Your Highness. I'm just grateful to be here." Something softened in her eyes. "We shall see." Then, with a graceful nod, she turned and began to walk away. Her guards followed in silence. As Jack watched her leave, he couldn't shake the strange feeling growing inside him. He had met many alien beings during his career, soldiers, traders, diplomats, but none had ever made his heart ache just by speaking. There was something fragile about the princess, like she carried the weight of the stars on her shoulders. That night, as he was shown to his quarters in the palace, he looked out from his window toward the glowing city below. The air shimmered with lights, and far above, he could see the same twin suns setting behind the horizon. He thought about her words. "Our people have forgotten how to sing." He didn't know what she truly meant, but he wanted to find out. Something told him that behind her royal grace and alien beauty, There was a soul longing for something more, something deeply human. And so, in that moment, Lieutenant Jack Rivers made a silent promise to himself. He would learn who Princess Elithra really was. Not as a diplomat, not as an alien, but as a person. He didn't know that this promise would change both their worlds forever. Because sometimes, peace isn't made with treaties. It begins with two hearts learning to see beauty through each other's eyes. The days slowly passed inside the shining palace of the Karel Empire. Every morning the alien sun rose with golden light that filled the halls, and every evening it sank beneath the clouds like a dying flame. For Lieutenant Jack Rivers, life among the Karel was strange and beautiful, but lonely too. The Karel were polite, always calm, but distant. They looked at him with curiosity, sometimes even with pity. Their faces revealed little emotion. Their words were careful, soft, and full of hidden meanings. Jack often felt like an outsider, a guest who didn't quite belong. Yet there was one person who broke that silence, Princess Elithra. Every few days, she invited him to the observation chamber, a wide glass dome at the top of the palace where stars shimmered above them like silver dust. The chamber was quiet, filled with the soft hum of distant engines. It became their secret meeting place. Elithra liked to ask questions, strange, curious questions that made Jack smile. "Why do humans smile so much?" she once asked, tilting her head slightly as she watched him. "Among my people, we show emotion only through our eyes. Your faces move so much," Jack chuckled softly. "We smile when we're happy, or when we want to make others feel safe." She blinked slowly, trying to understand. "So smiling can be a gift?" "Exactly," he said. "A smile can say things words can't." She looked down for a moment, then whispered, "I have never given such a gift." Jack didn't know what to say. There was sadness behind her calm tone, like a wound she carried in silence. As days turned to weeks, Elithra grew more open. She told him about her world, her people, and her duties. "My father, the Emperor, believes strength is everything," she said one night as they watched a meteor shower streak across the stars. "Beauty, weakness, emotion, he calls them useless." Her voice trembled. "When I was a child, I used to paint the stars. I loved colors, shapes, light. But when he saw my paintings, he said, 'You were born to rule, not to dream.' After that, I stopped." Jack looked at her, his heart heavy. "That's a shame, Princess. Dreams make us alive. They make us more than what we're told to be." She turned toward him slowly. "Do your people dream too?" "All the time," Jack said, smiling softly. "Sometimes we dream so big we end up reaching the stars." Elithra's eyes glimmered like water. "That must be why you came here," she whispered. "To teach us how to dream again." Jack didn't answer, but deep down he hoped she was right. One evening, Elithra showed him something special. She led him through narrow crystal halls into a quiet garden filled with glowing plants. Strange blue flowers floated above the water, glowing softly. The air smelled sweet and cold. "This is the moon garden," she said. "It blooms only under our second sun. Few are allowed here." Jack looked around, amazed. "It's beautiful." Elithra smiled faintly. "It used to be my mother's favorite place. She said beauty connects hearts. She believed every being has beauty, even if others can't see it." Jack looked at her face, gentle and sad under the silver light. "She sounds like she was very wise." "She was," Elithra whispered. "But she died when I was young. Since then, no one speaks of beauty anymore." For a long moment they stood in silence, listening to the water and the faint hum of alien life. Then Elithra turned to him again. "Tell me something, Jack," she said softly. "Do humans think the Karel are beautiful?" The question caught him off guard. "I don't know if beauty works the same for everyone," he said honestly. "But yes, I think your people are beautiful in your own way." She looked away quickly as if afraid to meet his eyes. "You say that, but your kind whispers that we look strange. I've heard the human officers at the council speak. They think we are cold, emotionless, even frightening." Jack frowned. "They don't know you. They only see what's on the outside." Elithra's tendrils moved slowly, a sign of sadness. "On the outside," she repeated quietly. "That is what everyone sees. The outside." Her words sank deep into Jack's chest. He wanted to tell her she was wrong, that there was something radiant about her, something pure and full of wonder. But he didn't know how to say it without sounding foolish. Instead, he just said, Sometimes the most beautiful things are the hardest to understand. She looked at him then, her black eyes shining like twin moons. You speak like a poet, human. Are all of your people like you? Jack laughed softly. Not at all. Most of us just try to survive. Then maybe that's what makes you beautiful, she said. You survive, you feel. You never stop fighting for meaning. Her words stunned him. For the first time, he saw a glimpse of warmth in her, a spark of life that had been hidden behind the cold mask of royalty. That night, when Jack returned to his quarters, he couldn't sleep. He kept seeing her face in his mind, the sadness behind her grace, the way her eyes had softened when she spoke of beauty. He realized something simple but powerful. Princess Elithra, the most powerful woman in her empire, was lonely. She carried the weight of an entire world, yet deep inside, she only wanted what every soul in the galaxy wanted, to be seen, to be understood, to be loved for who she was, and maybe, just maybe, that was something a human like him could give. The night aboard the royal starship was quiet. The twin suns had set, leaving the sky a deep violet speckled with distant stars. Lieutenant Jack Rivers had finished his evening duties, but he could not sleep. His mind kept returning to Princess Elithra's words, her eyes, the hidden sorrow he had glimpsed in her soul. He decided to walk, hoping the fresh air of the observation deck would clear his mind. The corridor was empty, illuminated by soft blue lights along the walls. He was halfway to the observation chamber when he noticed her. Elithra stood alone at the balcony, gazing at the stars with a stillness that almost made her look like a statue. Jack approached carefully, not wanting to startle her. "Princess?" he asked softly. She didn't turn immediately. The silence between them felt heavier than any walls he had ever seen. Then, in a voice so quiet it could have been mistaken for a whisper, she said, "Jack, am I too ugly for you?" The words hit him like a cold shock. He stopped in his tracks. "What?" he asked, unsure if he had heard correctly. Elithra turned slowly, her silver skin glowing faintly under the soft light. Her black eyes shone with vulnerability. "You speak to me with courtesy, with care. Yet when you look at me, do you only see a stranger? A creature too strange for your kind? My tendrils, my skin, my face. Am I too ugly for you?" Jack felt a rush of disbelief and sorrow. He had seen fear in battle, hatred in politicians, doubt in himself. But never had he faced such raw, quiet pain. He searched for words. How could he tell a princess, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, that her question was wrong, that she was beautiful? She stepped closer, almost trembling. "You are polite, human, that is expected. But inside, do you look at me as humans look at each other? Do you find warmth? Do you find beauty?" Jack opened his mouth, then closed it. Words felt heavy, clumsy, like pebbles in his throat. He wanted to shout, to cry, to tell her she was extraordinary. But no human words seemed enough. Then, against his better judgment, he laughed. Elithra froze. Her eyes widened. "You laugh at me?" Jack shook his head, still smiling, though his heart pounded. "No, princess. Not at all. I'm laughing because the question is impossible. Impossible for someone like you to be considered ugly." Her tendrils swayed uncertainly. "Impossible?" she whispered. "Yes," Jack said, stepping closer. "You ask if you're too ugly. But you don't understand. You are unlike anyone I've ever seen. That doesn't make you strange in a bad way. That makes you extraordinary." She looked at him, searching his face for a hint of mockery, but found none. "Extraordinary?" she repeated, her voice barely audible. Jack nodded. "Yes, look at me, Elithra. You are silver like the stars, your eyes. They hold more than I can even imagine. You are strong, wise, curious, and kind. You carry the weight of an empire, yet you still dream. You still feel. You still wonder. That is more beauty than most humans or aliens could ever know." Tears formed in her eyes, and she quickly wiped them away as if embarrassed. No one has ever said such things to me," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Everyone only speaks of duty, strength, perfection, not this. This," Jack said gently, "is the part of you no one else sees, and that is the part that matters." Elithra's lips trembled into a faint smile, and her tendrils floated gently in the soft air. For the first time, Jack saw her not as a princess, not as an alien, not as a ruler of an empire, but as a being with a heart, fragile yet brilliant, who had longed for someone to see her. I I never thought anyone could see me, she whispered. I am supposed to be perfect, untouchable, admired from a distance. But I am alone. Jack's chest tightened. You're not alone now, he said softly. I see you. Not the crown. Not the silver skin. Not the tendrils. I see you, and that is more than enough for me. Her eyes shimmered, reflecting the distant stars. You truly mean this? She asked, her voice barely audible. Jack nodded. Every word. For a long moment, they just stood there, two souls from different worlds sharing a quiet understanding. The galaxy around them was vast and endless, yet in that balcony, with the stars above and silence all around, there was only the human and the princess, connected by something deeper than diplomacy or duty. Alethra finally laughed softly, a sound like wind through silver leaves. You make me feel human, she said, her voice trembling with relief and disbelief, and perhaps that is the most beautiful thing a person can hear. Jack smiled warmly, feeling the tension in his chest ease for the first time since he arrived. You make me feel alive, princess. Strange, isn't it? Two beings from opposite ends of the galaxy, yet we understand each other better than anyone else ever could. She looked down at her hands, then back at him. Perhaps beauty is not in how we appear to others. Perhaps beauty is how we touch hearts, Jack nodded. Exactly. And you, Alethra, touch hearts like no one else ever could. The stars shone above them, silent witnesses to a truth that neither human nor Kar-El had ever known. That beauty is not a measure of form, but of courage, of heart, and of connection. And in that quiet moment, under the twin suns' fading light, the princess realized something she had never known before, that she was not too ugly, too strange, or too alien. She was perfect in the way that mattered most, seen, understood, and admired by someone who truly cared. Jack reached out, letting his hand hover near hers. She didn't pull away, and though neither spoke another word that night, a silent promise passed between them, that whatever the universe held, they would face it together and see each other through hearts, not eyes. The days following that night were quiet, but tension hummed beneath the surface of the palace like a hidden storm. Lieutenant Jack Rivers and Princess Alethra continued their secret meetings in the observation chamber, talking, laughing softly, and sharing stories of Earth and the Kar-El Empire. But whispers began to spread among the palace staff and royal council. Not all of the Kar-El approved of the princess's closeness with a human. Some saw it as a dangerous distraction. Others whispered that she was forgetting her duties, that a human could never understand the weight of an empire. And the council, stern, powerful, and proud, watched carefully, ready to act. One morning, Jack was summoned to the council chamber. The doors were tall, curved, and etched with golden symbols that shimmered faintly. When he entered, the room was filled with towering figures, their black and silver robes flowing like liquid metal. Every eye in the chamber focused on him, sharp and unyielding. You are aware of the growing concern regarding your presence aboard the royal ship, human? The High Chancellor asked, his voice cold as ice. Jack swallowed. Yes, sir. I understand. You are not a Kar-El, the Chancellor continued. You cannot comprehend our ways, our customs, our duty. Yet the princess, she seems to favor you. This is dangerous for her, for the Empire, and perhaps for your own kind. Jack felt a chill run down his spine, but he straightened his posture. I am here to foster understanding, not to harm anyone. My only intention is peace and friendship. The council's eyes narrowed. Intentions mean little if they endanger the balance of our people. You have not been forbidden from speaking to the princess, but you must remember your place. Jack nodded, though his heart sank. Duty and diplomacy were one thing, but what he felt for Alethra was becoming more than duty. He realized that with every conversation, every laugh, every shared glance, he was falling for her, not the alien princess, but the being she truly was beneath the crown. That evening, Alethra came to find him. She moved silently through the corridors, her tendrils drifting like smoke in the soft light. When she found him, she looked concerned, her large eyes dark with worry. Jack, you seem troubled, she said softly. I was called to the council today, he admitted. They warned me to maintain my place. They are watching us. Alethra's lips pressed together, a flicker of fear in her expression. They do not understand what we share, she said quietly. They see only danger, but I cannot stop feeling what I feel. Jack reached out, taking her hand gently in his. Neither can I, he said. And I don't want to. Her eyes glimmered with tears. But Jack, If they find out they could force us apart. You could be sent away. Or worse, my own people might think me weak. He shook his head firmly. I don't care what they think. What matters is that I see you, truly see you. And you, truly see me. She looked down at their joined hands, her heart racing. I've never been seen like that before, Jack, never. Not by my family, not by the council, not even by those who should love me. You make me feel alive. Jack smiled softly, though his chest ached. Then we'll face this together. No one else matters right now. Only us, only what we know to be true. But truth alone could not shield them. Rumors reached the council. Whispers carried through the palace like wildfire. Some members demanded action. Others warned the princess that continued closeness with a human could dishonor her, her family, and the empire itself. One afternoon, Alethra was summoned before the council. Jack watched from the observation deck, hidden as she walked with her head high but her shoulders tense. The council spoke in harsh tones, reminding her of duty, of honor, of expectation. You cannot indulge in personal desires, princess, the High Chancellor said sharply. The empire depends on you. Humans cannot be trusted with your heart. Alethra's voice shook slightly, but she answered firmly. I understand my duties, but I will not live my life in fear of my feelings. If my heart is not seen, my strength cannot exist. And if seeing a human gives me courage, then perhaps the empire needs that courage more than fear. A murmur rippled through the council chamber. Jack's heart swelled with pride and fear at the same time. He knew she was defying centuries of tradition with nothing but honesty and love. That night, when Alethra returned, Jack met her in the moon garden. The glowing flowers swayed softly as if sensing the tension in her soul. They do not understand, she whispered, her voice broken. They say I am weak, that I risk everything for you. Jack took her hands gently. You are not weak, Alethra. You are brave, braver than anyone I have ever known. Courage is not in obeying rules blindly. Courage is in following your heart even when the galaxy is against you. Her eyes shimmered, tears falling freely now. And if they force us apart? Jack cupped her face softly. Then I will wait for you. I will find you across any star, any empire, any danger. I will never stop seeing you, never stop believing in you. For the first time, she allowed herself to truly lean on him, to feel hope and warmth. Two hearts from different worlds beat together against all odds, in a galaxy that demanded distance, silence, and obedience, and in that quiet, glowing garden, the seeds of rebellion and courage were planted, not against the empire, but against the fear that love, kindness, and humanity could ever be weakness. The palace felt colder than usual that morning. The soft blue lights along the corridors seemed sharper, harsher, as though the walls themselves were warning Jack of what was coming. Rumors of his closeness to Princess Alethra had reached not just the council but the emperor himself. A summons arrived for both of them, an audience that would test their courage, their feelings, and perhaps even the future of their bond. Jack's chest tightened as he walked toward the grand chamber, his uniform stiff with tension. He had trained for countless missions, faced countless dangers, but nothing in his career had prepared him for this. This was not a battle of weapons or tactics. This was a battle of hearts. Alethra was already there, standing with perfect poise, her silver skin glowing faintly in the ambient light. But even her elegance could not hide the anxiety in her black eyes. Jack could see it, even from a distance. The worry that they would call him unworthy, that they would force her to abandon her feelings. Are you ready? He asked softly, his voice carrying reassurance. She took a deep breath, her tendrils swaying nervously. I must be. There is no other choice. Together they entered the Emperor's chamber. The vast room was cold and empty, save for the Emperor's throne. He sat high above them, his eyes like molten gold filled with both curiosity and silent judgment. The council members flanked him, their expressions rigid, unyielding. You have brought a human into my empire, the Emperor said, his voice echoing across the chamber. This human is Lieutenant Jack Rivers? Jack bowed deeply. Yes, Your Majesty. I come in peace to learn and to help the humans and Kar-El understand each other. The Emperor's gaze shifted to Alethra. And you, my daughter, you have allowed this human too close. You have shared time, thoughts, perhaps even your heart with one who is beneath your station. Why? Alethra stepped forward, her posture straight, her voice steady despite the tremor beneath. Father, I see him for what he is. He is brave, honest, and kind. He treats me as a being, not a symbol, Is that not worth valuing? Even for a princess? A murmur ran through the council. Whispers of disapproval mixed with shock. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You risk the dignity of this throne for emotions? Yes, she said simply, her eyes meeting Jack's. Yes, I do. Because emotions make us stronger. Because love is not weakness, it is courage. Jack felt a surge of pride and fear. He knew the council could punish him, could accuse him of endangering the Empire, but he refused to look away from her, refused to let doubt break their bond. Your Majesty, Jack said, his voice calm but firm. I may be human, but I understand duty and honor. I do not seek to harm your empire. My only aim is to support the princess and to show that trust and understanding can cross the boundaries of worlds. If my presence challenges your traditions, then let it be the challenge that teaches new strength. The Emperor leaned forward slightly, his golden eyes studying them both. And you, Princess, do you believe your heart alone is enough to guide this empire? Alethra's voice did not falter. No, Father, but it is enough to guide me. And if I can stand with someone who sees me, truly sees me, perhaps I can find the courage to lead not only with my mind, but with my heart as well. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Jack's hand found hers under the flowing robes of her dress, a quiet touch that spoke more than words ever could. Finally, the Emperor spoke again, his tone still stern but softened by something deeper. You are both brave. Dangerous in your honesty, yes, but perhaps also, right. There is wisdom in courage and strength in trust. I will not forbid this. Yet you must understand, Princess, the path ahead will be harder. The council will watch, the Empire will judge, and you will be tested at every step. Alethra nodded, determination shining in her eyes. I understand, Father, and I am ready. Jack squeezed her hand, feeling the warmth of her resolve. We will face it together, he whispered. Even as they left the chamber, the weight of the council's scrutiny and the Emperor's watchful eyes lingered over them. Every step was a reminder that their bond was unusual, challenged by centuries of tradition and feared by many. Yet every glance they shared carried quiet strength, an understanding that they were not alone, that courage and connection could outshine fear. Later that night, in the quiet of the observation chamber, they sat together beneath the stars. The twin suns had set, leaving only the cold beauty of distant galaxies to watch them. You didn't have to stand up like that, Alethra said softly, resting her head lightly on H's shoulder. Jack shook his head. I could not let them see fear in me, not when you needed courage. You gave me the same without even knowing it. She lifted her eyes to meet his. Do you think we can survive this? The council, the traditions, everything? Jack smiled faintly. I don't know. But I do know this. No matter what the Empire says, no matter how impossible it seems, I will not stop seeing you. Not your crown, not your title, not even your alien form. I will see you. And that is enough to start. Her tendrils swayed gently in the soft light. For the first time in years, she laughed, a small, fragile sound full of hope and defiance. Then perhaps, she whispered, we have already begun to win. And under the quiet, indifferent stars, the human and the princess understood something powerful. That courage was not just in battle, but in the quiet defiance of hearts that refused to be silenced, that refused to be afraid, and that chose to see beauty where others only saw fear. The day arrived faster than either of them expected. Orders from the Emperor were clear. Lieutenant Jack Rivers would return to Earth as part of the Alliance's ongoing diplomacy. It was not a punishment but a duty, a reminder that their worlds were still separate no matter what hearts might feel. Jack packed quietly in his quarters. The familiar sounds of the ship's engines hummed like a heartbeat around him, yet his own heart felt heavy, pulling him toward the silver glow of Princess Alethra. Every thought of leaving her brought a sharp ache. He didn't have to wait long. Alethra arrived, her presence filling the room like starlight spilling into shadow. Her tendrils moved gently, a silent storm of emotion contained in elegance and grace. Jack, she said softly, her voice trembling only slightly. The council has accepted your departure. There is nothing more to be done. He stepped toward her, taking her hands into his. I know, but nothing can take away what we have shared, Princess. Nothing can undo the truth that I see you and you see me. Her black eyes glimmered, reflecting the soft lights of the ship. I know, she whispered. And yet, it feels as if part of me is leaving with you. Jack tightened his grip gently, refusing to let go. Then I will carry a part of you with me always. Across the stars, across worlds, across time, I will remember your face, your voice, the way your heart shines through every motion, every word. You are extraordinary, Alethra. Never doubt that. Her tendrils quivered, and a small tear ran down her silver cheek. I never thought anyone could see me like that. Not my council, not my family, not even the people of my empire. Only you. And only you will always have me, he said firmly. Distance cannot erase that. You've changed me, Princess. You've made me braver, stronger, and happier than I ever imagined. She lowered her gaze, swallowing back the emotion that threatened to overwhelm her. Then promise me something, Jack. Promise me that when you look at the stars, you will think of me, even if we are worlds apart. Jack smiled gently, brushing a stray tendril from her face. I promise, he said. Every night, every star, every quiet moment, I will remember you. And one day I will return. No council, no empire, no distance can stop me. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. Then perhaps, hope is not lost, she whispered. The departure was quiet. The ship's launch bay stretched into infinity, filled with the hum of engines and the soft glow of alien lights. Jack stood on the ramp, looking at her one last time. The council and guards watched silently, but all Jack could see was Alethra, the princess who had dared to laugh, to dream, to show herself fully to a human who had dared to see her. She stepped forward, her silver skin glowing faintly in the light. Farewell, Jack, she said. Her voice was steady, but the tremor in her hands betrayed the depth of her feelings. Jack bowed slightly, then straightened, raising his eyes to hers. Farewell, Princess. Until we meet again. The ship's engines roared, and Jack felt himself lifted from the ground. The stars rushed past the windows, brilliant and cold. Yet in his mind, the light of one silver-skinned princess burned brighter than any star. Days passed aboard the human transport, and Jack kept his promise. He watched the stars, each one a reminder of Alethra, of her courage, her laughter, and the way she had changed him forever. And somewhere in the endless expanse of space, he could almost feel her watching too, her heart tethered gently to his own, across the void. Meanwhile, Alethra returned to the palace, her head held high but her soul alight with the memory of what had been. For the first time she felt truly alive, not just as a princess, not just as a ruler, but as a being who had been seen, who had been understood, and who had dared to love across impossible boundaries. She walked through the moon garden, now glowing under the twin suns' morning light. The flowers swayed softly, and for a moment she allowed herself to smile fully. Her reflection shimmered in the water below, silver, alien, radiant. Not perfect in the council's eyes, not flawless according to tradition, but beautiful beyond measure, because someone had seen her, truly seen her, and believed in her worth. And somewhere, across the endless stars, a human laughed softly, remembering the princess who had once asked if she was too ugly, and realizing she was the most beautiful being he had ever known. That laughter carried hope, courage, and a promise that no matter the distance, no matter the dangers or the rules of empires, some connections could never be broken. They had changed each other forever, and in the quiet of the galaxy, where stars drifted like diamonds across black velvet, two hearts beat together, human and alien, separate worlds united by understanding, courage, and love. For Alethra, the princess who once doubted her own beauty, and Jack, the human who had laughed at the impossible, the universe had witnessed the truth, that beauty, courage, and love know no boundaries, and that even the smallest spark of kindness can light up the darkness of entire worlds, and that spark once kindled would never fade.